Good morning, everybody. Today we are going to have a class with 8th standard students. Topic is about the Great Uprising. The Indian Revolt of 1857 was considered as a major uprising in India. It was an unprecedented event in the history of British rule, though it was an unsuccessful rebellion. Several Indian writers who consider it as a part of the Indian independence movement have termed it as the First War of Independence. Several British writers who view it as a military disturbance have termed it as Sepoy Revolt or Sepoy Mutiny. By the mid 19th century, British had established themselves as supreme political power in India. A large part of India was under direct British administration. The Mughal Empire existed only in name of the Emperor Bahadur Shah Zafar, had neither territory nor power. You have read that the Battle of Plassey was the first major British victory in India. After that, British slowly conquered the whole of India. Nearly 100 years of British presence in India had made all sections of Indian society very unhappy. Rulers lost their territories. The peasants hated the exploitative system of revenue collection. Noblemen lost their land. The tribal people feared a threat to their livelihoods. The craftsmen were against the new economic policies which exposed them to unfair competition from abroad. Even British army was unhappy as they were treated unfairly by the British officers. Different sectors of society expressed their anger through protests and revolts. The biggest challenge to British came in 1857. In this year, the people of India rose up against the British. The rising was a culmination of the grievances of the people against the tyrannical British rule. These are some of the causes listed below. First, we'll talk about the economic causes. Peasants suffered due to high revenue demand and strict policy of revenue collection. Most often, they end up starving. Even after crop failure, they are forced to pay revenue. So they often end up borrowing money from the moneylenders, which leads to debts further. Artisans and craftsmen were ruined by their unfair competition. In British, goods are manufactured on machines, hence they are cheaper to produce. But Indian craftsmen make goods by hand. These cost more than machine made. People always prefer to buy machine goods as they are cheaper than traditional goods. Due to withdrawal of royal patronage, occupying territories, people who earned a living by following religious and cultural professions such as priests, poets, musicians lost their source of livelihood. Occupying territories led disturbances in the ruling classes. The dynasty of the Mughals was almost gone. The strict enforcement of the doctrine of lapse turned Rani Lakshmibai against the British. She led the uprising in Jhansi. What is the doctrine of lapse? It is nothing but a policy of annexation initiated by the East India Company. Awadh Lord Dalhousie was annexed by British in 1856. It was seen as betrayal as Awadh had always been loyal to them. It deeply hurt the sentiments of the people, particularly the sepoys. British passed law banning sati and legalizing widow remarriages. Women encouraged to take up Western education. Social discrimination faced by the people due to the British attitude of racial superiority also led to much resentment. For example, Indians are not allowed to travel in first-class trains. Educated Indians were denied promotions and the opportunities to be appointed to high posts. A major cause of the uprising was the fear among the people that the company wanted to convert Indians to Christianity. The Christian missionaries were very much active at that time. Further, a law passed in 1850 allowed a Christian convert to inherit ancestral property. This led further credence to this mass fear, belief that the religion is under threat. Military causes. Indian soldiers and sepoy formed the bulk of the company's army in India. The annexation of Awadh angered them greatly. The sepoys are paid less than the British soldiers. All the high posts were reserved for the British. The sepoys are not allowed to wear caste and religious masks. The Foreign Service Allowance or bhatta, which the sepoys got when they were sent to fight outside the country, was discontinued. All this led to the 1857 revolt. Immediate causes. There was a discontent against the British rule. By 1857, the stage was set for a massive outbreak. Only a spark was needed to set the country ablaze. A rifle cartridge provided that spark. A new rifle had been introduced in the army at this time. It was called the Enfield rifle. The cartridge of this rifle were covered with greased wrapper. The sepoy had to bite off the greased wrapper before loading the cartridge into the rifle. News spread that the grease was made from the fat of cows and pigs. Hindus consider cow sacred and Muslims consider the pig dirty. Hence, sepoys of both communities were enraged at such disrespect shown to their religious sentiments. They felt this is to be a deliberate action by British to defile the religion of both Hindus and Muslims. Beginning of the uprising. The first soldier to protest against the use of new cartridge was Mangal Pandey. He was a sepoy in the 5th Company of the 34th Native Infantry Regiment, stationed at Barakpur. He fired at British commanders and asked other sepoys to join him to end the rule of the company. He was soon arrested and hanged on 8th April 1857. His death caused a great unrest across India. On 24th April, 84 sepoys refused to use the cartridge, and on 9th April, sepoys were dismissed from the service and jailed. This sparked off a mutiny among sepoys. They seized arms and set fire to British properties. This was the biggest armed resistance since the establishment of company. Spread of the uprising. From Meerut and Delhi, the uprising soon spread to other places in northern and central India. It was particularly too strong in Kanpur, Jhansi, Bareilly, Gwalior, Faisalabad, and Arrah. The uprising in different places was led by different leaders. In Delhi, Bakht Khan; in Jhansi, Rani Lakshmi Bai; in Kanpur, Nana Sahib; in Lucknow, Begum Hazrat Mahal; in Bareilly, Khan Bahadur Khan; in Arrah, Kunwar Singh. Suppression of the uprising. By mid-1857, it appeared that the rule of company was over, at least in North India. The British, however, soon reorganized and fought back. One by one, they started recapturing. In September 1857, British recaptured Delhi. Bahadur Shah was taken to prison and deported to Rangoon in Burma. With this, the rule of Mughals ended officially. Bakht Khan Rani Lakshmi Bai, Bahadur Khan, Kunwar Singh died fighting the British. Nana Sahib and Begum Hazrat Mahal escaped to Nepal and continued their struggle. Tatya Tope was arrested and hanged. Why did the uprising fail? It failed due to many reasons. The uprising did not spread to all parts of the country. Many Indians refused to help the sepoys. Some were openly hostile and helped the British to suppress uprising. The uprising was not organized properly. They had no proper ideology or program to follow. The movement suffered from weak leadership. The sepoys were short of weapons and finance. Nature of the uprising. To underplay the importance of the uprising, British historians refer to it as Sepoy Mutiny. The uprising has begun with Sepoy, but it was largely supported by peasants and artisans. Uprising was characterized by Hindu-Muslim unity. People from both communities fought together. In view of the spread of the uprising and widespread of the people, Indian historian termed it as the first war of independence. After the uprising, British policies in India underwent major changes after 1858. All these changes were made to strengthen the British hold over India. In August 1858, a minister of the British cabinet was appointed to manage affairs in India. He was called the Secretary of the State. He was to be assisted by an advisory called the Indian Council. They also made changes in the functioning of the government in India, which is to be headed by the Governor General. He was appointed by the Crown. He was given the title of Viceroy. Divide and rule policy. The British began to follow the policy of divide and rule. During the uprising, both Hindus and Muslims had fought together. They felt threatened by this unity. They felt the need to divide the two communities and rule. They have took the following measures for this to happen. Changes in the army, like the ratio of European soldiers to Indian soldiers, was raised. All strategic positions were given to European troops. And the concept of martial and non-martial races was also created. Sikhs, Pathans, and Gurkhas were declared martial races where they are being recruited in army, and the people belong to the regions where the uprising was strong, such as Awadh, Bihar, Central India, were declared non-martials, where they are not kept in army.